Hello, children. A very good morning to you all. Welcome back to your science class. Did you remember in the beginning of this chapter, I told you that you will be learning about many interesting and new things about how the rocks were formed. क्या तुम्हें पहले पता था that how these rocks were formed? How these rocks come to earth? No, we don't know anything. We learned how the igneous rocks were formed from that hot lava and magma. Then we learned from these small sediments which settled down. From these sediments, sedimentary rocks were formed, and then with the heat and pressure, that is igneous plus sedimentary rocks, gives rise to metamorphic rocks. Okay, along with these, we learned many different types of rocks with its different uses. So, children, don't think that the rocks are useless. Rocks are very useful. They are used in many purposes. They have many useful qualities. We get many wealth from rocks. First, and the very common example is to construct the building, rocks are needed. So many rocks are needed with so many different useful purposes. That is cement. First is cement. To make cement, limestone is needed because cement is made from limestone. And you also know there are many hard rocks from which is used to construct buildings like your granite, basalt, marble, limestone. These are also used to construct the buildings and to make floor tiles or roof tiles. Slate is used. It is also used to make blackboard, in to make writing slates. Okay, so many rocks, there are many rocks which have many different useful purposes. Okay, now, children, in the beginning of this chapter, I told you that small minerals are the building blocks of rocks. Did you know, children? Many minerals that make up the rocks, it also contains metals in it. It means the rocks having minerals, they also contain metals in it. So the rocks that contain metals, it can be extracted, it can be removed, and those rocks are called as ores. The rocks containing metals are called ores. They can be extracted or they can be removed. What is the meaning of extracted? Another new term. Extracted means to remove a substance from another substance. So, to remove metal from the rock, that is called extracted. So the rocks containing metals can be extracted, and those rocks are called ore. For example, magnetite. Magnetite is an ore or is a rock of iron. It has the property of attracting the objects which are made of iron. You know that you play with magnets, you have seen a magnet. If you will take a magnet near any iron object, it will easily attract it. Okay, and moreover, magnetite is also used to find the direction because it is made in such a way that when it comes to rest in the north south direction, when they are suspended freely. So there are many useful purposes of magnet. One example is there in the book, so I am telling you. So there are many rocks which contains metals, and those can be extracted, and those rocks are called as ores. Okay, another new term you need to remember. Okay, children, there are also some minerals which are found in the form of crystals. As I told you in the beginning of this chapter, that minerals are the building blocks of rocks, and minerals are of different colors, different sizes. There are some minerals which are in the form of shining and polishing crystals. They are hard and they look very beautiful stone type crystals. Okay, those are called as gemstones. Those crystals are called as gemstones. For example, diamond, you have seen a diamond, rubies, emeralds, sapphires. These are the examples of gemstones, and from these gemstones, many types of jewelry are made. If you have seen your jewelry, if you in the shop or anywhere else, then 99% of jewelry are made from these gemstones, and normally these gemstones are the minerals which are found in the form of crystals. Okay, understood, children? Children, did you remember how sedimentary rocks were formed? They were formed from the sediments which settled down, and after millions of years ago they formed to a sedimentary rock. There is another one rock that is also a type of sedimentary rock, and that is coal. COAL, coal. Coal is a type of sedimentary rock, but its formation is little different. It is formed when millions and millions of years ago, when it was a forest having so many plants and trees. Okay, when these plants and trees, when they die because of they are buried in the swamps. What do you mean by swamp? Swamp means a soft an area with wet land filled with water, muddy water. So these plants die because of these natural processes, because of rain, or sometimes if the forest is catching fire. So because of these natural processes, okay, or any natural calamities like flood. So because of these things, when the plants die, they get buried in this swamp, muddy water. They get buried in the water, okay, completely filled with water. Then, slowly and slowly, many layers of mud, sand, and these dead plants get deposited one over another. After this, after these layers get deposited, with the heat and the pressure which we get which we get from above, they gradually change this material. They gradually change this layer to form coal. With the heat and the pressure that we have already learned before, that how we get heat and pressure. So with these heat and pressure, coal is formed. Okay. Similarly, there is another one thing that is called crude oil or petroleum, which is a dark sticky liquid. Okay, very sticky liquid. It is formed from the dead plants and animals deep under the sea. ज़्यादा पानी के अंदर, गहरे पानी के अंदर, रिवर के अंदर जो मछली होते हैं, जो जानवर होते हैं पानी के अंदर, जो प्लांट्स होते हैं अंडर वाटर, those plants and animals, when they die over millions on millions of years ago, when these plants and sea animals they die, water animals and plants they die, they just sank at the bottom of the sea. What do you mean by sank? मतलब पानी के अंदर डूब के वहीं मर जाते हैं और वहीं दब के रह जाते हैं. Okay, as slowly and slowly so many plants, water animals they die, then so many sediments are built up on the top. As the sediments built up on the top, the heat and the pressure, with these heat and pressure, it changes these dead plants and animals into petroleum. Did you understood how coal and petroleum are formed? Coal is formed when the plants and animals of any forest die, and when slowly and slowly with these dead plants and animals, millions and millions of years ago, they form into a layer. They get settled down, and with these heat and pressure, coal is formed, whereas petroleum is formed when from the dead plants and animals under the sea. Okay, petroleum is formed from the water animals and the water plants that die, and they get settled and they sank at the bottom of the sea. Understood? And because of this heat and pressure, actually heat and pressure is required in both the cases, in coal and petroleum also, but difference is coal is formed from the dead plants from the forest. Okay, coal is formed from the dead plants in the forest, from the mud, sand, from these things coal is formed, whereas petroleum is formed from the water plants and water animals. Okay, but heat and pressure is required in both the places, and with these heat and pressure, coal and petroleum are formed. And what are coal and petroleum? They are called the fuels. Fuels are those substances which is burned in order to get either heat or in order to get electricity. How? Children, when coal is burnt, they produce a steam, and that steam generates electricity, which from these electricity it is supplied to all the houses, and we get electricity from these things. Okay, It is used in the powerhouses, in the power plants to generate electricities, and also in big factories and companies to run the machines. With these coal, it is used to generate the electricity. Similarly, petrol, it's very common. Petrol and diesel are used to run the vehicles and machines. And we also get some other products like your plastics, paints, fertilizers, where petroleum is also added, okay, for its better use. Understood? So, these are the two important things, coal and petroleum. These are the two important things which are also we get from digging deep under the soil, and which are formed from these formation of heat and pressure. With these heat and pressure, they are formed. But do you know, children, nowadays, due to the large number of growing vehicles, so many industries, the demand of these fuels has increased day by day. And with these increasing demand, the reserves of petroleum can only last for few years, and that of coal also. So that is why we have to conserve these fuels, we have to conserve this for our future use, otherwise we will be the only sufferer. So we have to conserve our fuels, and we should look for other sources of energy like your solar energy. That is, you know we will get the sunlight. From the sunlight, the solar energy is we are getting trapped. And moreover, excessive burning of these fuels can also cause air pollution, so which is also another dangerous thing, which is also very dangerous for our health. So that is why every small thing should be used in a limited amount. It should not be used in a heavy amount, otherwise it would be dangerous for us, and later on we will not be able to get anything. So we have to conserve everything with these fuels and all other sources which we are getting. So children, here we come to the end of this chapter. You learned so many beautiful and interesting things, and at the end you learned how these fuels are formed. Okay, you learned how coal and petroleum are formed. It is also a very new thing, because you use coal and petroleum, we get electricity from these things, we run vehicles from petrol. So we learned so many things. Now children, go through the book, read the book, and be ready for the looking back questions and the exercise questions which I will be sending you. Be good children and complete all your work in time. Thank you.